you everyone for being here today. New members really bring that vibrant spirit to our club. We talk a lot about, oh, let's promote our club, let's bring in those new members. But I think sometimes we try too many things or we don't know where to start. It's tough to get started and it's tough to narrow down our focus. So today I'm going to talk about how we can bring in those new members, but also maximize our efforts because I realize each one of you are only one person. As much as we would love to say, have a PR committee, we're happy to have a VP of Public Relations many times in our clubs. So I really want to level set that I'm going to talk about a lot of different items today, but you ultimately need to figure out what works best for your club, what works best for your district if you're a public relations manager, because I'm going to throw a lot at you, but I promise that it is going to be a fun ride today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I will drop a handout at the end that has all the slides for you. That way you don't have to worry about scribbling down all the notes. Who's had the opportunity to do a communications plan as part of their pathways? Right, Lena? All right, I'm not seeing a lot of hands. That's why we do training. I love a good communications plan because it helps keep me and my club focused. It helps me with my accountability to my club, and it also lets my clubs know when our communication is going to come out. Who do we think, from a PR standpoint, is our primary audience? Anybody want to take a guess?
Non-members
Correct.
for the club, non-members. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to consider these our primary audience, the people that we haven't met, the non-members. Members are the heart of everything we do, and they are definitely essential to our communication. But when we're thinking about it from a public relations standpoint, we're usually thinking about that external communication. So great job, Edie. Who do we think our secondary audience is?
People who haven't been attending regularly.
I I consider those members, so a lot of times I consider our
Okay.
secondary audience people that we have met. They've come as a guest, but they haven't joined our family yet. So we know them, they're thinking about it, they're on the fence, so we want to continue chatting with them more. That leaves our third audience, which is our members. And so it is also very important that we do reach out to those that haven't attended in a while. But from a PR standpoint, yes, it's important that we reach out to them, but it's more important that we also work together to create that promotion. And we will communicate to all members as well. But great job, everybody. And this is in the pathways. So I encourage you to take a look at your path and develop the promotion plan because I know my promotion plans really help keep me focused and help me measure my deliverables as well. So one of the things that we have to think about as we are planning is we'll likely have different communications for the different audiences. Something that's going to our members won't necessarily go to guests. For example, for our members, we're not going to, we'll highlight dues renewals, we'll highlight member success. But if we're thinking about an external audience, we likely will not be highlighting dues renewals as much. We'd still want to highlight member success, but how we highlight that member success may be completely different. For example, when a member completes a level, of course, we recognize them during the meeting. But when we're doing external promotion, we might want to think of what did our member gain by completing the level and how can Toastmasters benefit you? Whereas when we're recognizing our members internally, we may not put as much of an emphasis on what our members gained. Of course, when they complete that level 5, when they complete a path, I always love to make a really big deal out of it because I want to inspire the rest of my members to continue through their journey and continue to work their pathways. Because I think when you make that big deal out of a level 5, other people aspire to also reach that goal. And level 5 is just that end of the journey, on to the next one as our members select their next path. So we have to decide our goals, what messages, and that will vary based off our audience. And then we also need to decide, what is that key action that we want them to take? So those people that haven't come, we of course want them to come to the meeting. Those people that have come before, we're hoping to close the deal, hoping to get them back. And then our members, of course, we want them to keep coming to our meetings. So we want them to show up. And so we can just tailor our messages a little bit different as we reach different audiences. We also have to decide what tools we're going to use. There's a lot of different tools out there, and it really depends, based off our club, what tools we're going to use. And sometimes we can repurpose our content for the various social media platforms, but, all that takes time. And one of the things I'll talk about is developing that content that's for each channel. Well, that's a quick look at the communication plan. I really encourage you to sit down, have a meaningful thought, discuss even as a club officer team, what are our goals? What are we hoping to communicate? And then you can work together. And one of the things we're going to talk about is your unique value proposition. So before we get started, let's think about our goals because it's really important that we set a goal. So go ahead and scan the QR code, and I will also drop the link in chat for those that may not have their phone handy. I'm going to ask everybody, what are your goals as you embark on your communications journey? Sure. Mentimeter here. All right, we have some great goals, at least 20 members. Yes, we want to be charter strength. We want to be distinguished. Communicate. Clear communication, it looks like. Attendance. Yes, we want our members to attend. Best of the best in the district. Celebrate success. Differentiate. Ooh, I love that. New members. Yeah. So I think, one of these, this is really great to, set those goals. One of the things I always look at from a PR standpoint is it's not just the job of the VP of Public Relations to close that deal. So while yes, we would like to have 20 members, let's look at it from how can we measure PR success? Are we increasing our followers? Are we increasing the number of guests that come to a meeting? It takes the entire club to close that deal. So as we set our benchmarks, I really encourage you to look at it from, am I increasing attendance? Am I increasing engagement with my current members because they see it online and they're sharing it with other members and other potential guests? Are my members reaching out to more of their potential guests and inviting them? Therefore, we're getting more guests overall. So I always like to look at it from the role of the VP Public Relations. Of course, we would love to have 20 members, and I encourage you as a club officer team to set the goal of having a minimum of 20 members. Go for, more of course, go for that Smedley distinguished and really bring in a lot of new members, but I really encourage you to look at it from a PR standpoint as you set those goals. All right, I'll go ahead and share my presentation again. But before we get into promoting our club, we need to make sure that our house is in order. I always say before my mom comes, I make a mad dash to clean because I want to show my mom that I'm a responsible adult. My mom raised me. She knows I'm a disaster child. She knows that I'm picking up and I'm sweeping right before she comes. But there's just something about feeling, you know what, Mom, I can keep a somewhat of a clean house. Just don't open the closets because, it might all spill out. But it's the same thing when it comes to promotion. We want to make sure that we're well prepared. Yes, we can promote all day, but if our Find a Club is not up to date, how are people going to find us? There's so many times that we put all this effort in, and then we realize that the Find a Club still has our old meeting location. Or maybe our club website still has a link from last year because we do Zoom registration and we forgot to update the link in the contact us. Maybe we updated it on one page but not another. So I encourage you after this to make sure that your Find a Club is up to date. Somebody that is going to not necessarily answer the phone because I know a lot of times we don't like to answer because there's a lot of spammers out there, but somebody that will check their voicemail on a regular basis, somebody that's going to check their email on a regular basis and actually respond to those people that say, "Hey, I would love to visit your club. Can you tell me more?" Because I find even when we put a come join us in person as well as a Zoom link, a lot of people still want to know more about the club and more about the details about us. So I would encourage you to make sure that the Find a Club is either you or someone that is going to, on a regular basis, be responsive to those guests. Your unique value proposition. What sets you apart from other clubs? Think about this. We all do speeches. We all do table topics. We all do evaluations. But why should I come to Lena's club versus Edie's club? Each club is unique. And so it's really about figuring out, why is my club unique? For example, we might say we're the birthplace of Toastmasters. I know Edie's part of Anaheim Breakfast Club too. That's one of the very first original clubs. Think about all the history and all the knowledge that the members bring, versus a club, that is a specialty club. The World's a Wonder Club, is really focused on that science fiction aspect, and members come together to discuss that. So really encourage you to look at, what makes my club stand out. Is there something that I do different when it comes to speeches or evaluations or table topics even? Do we train world champions regularly? And how can we use that to talk to an outside audience about being a world champion? Maybe we're training people to deliver keynotes or training people to do TED Talks. Because we have to think from an external perspective. If we're recruiting brand new members to our club, they may not know what a world champion is. They may not know what an evaluation is. We have to really think about strategically promoting to an audience that knows nothing about us, but how it's going to benefit them and how our club is different. I always say, when I joined Toastmasters, I looked at a bunch of various clubs and everybody had a free Toast website, but nobody had customized it. And I thought to myself, I don't know Club A versus B versus C. And at the time, I was just looking to check a box on a performance review. Now, granted, I have grown much more than checking a box on a performance review, but it's really important that we add that dynamic to our club website because I know that if I had looked at various clubs and a club really stood out, I would think, these people seem interesting. If I'm going to do this, I want to at least hang out with some interesting people. And it would have set them apart. And I would have reached out to that club first. Versus I dragged my feet, I looked at various club websites, and I eventually reached out to some various clubs. And once again, so many people did not respond to me, or they get back to me 2 weeks later. People want instant gratification. We get those little notifications on our phone and we love to look at them. We love that little red dot. We love the little unread message. It draws me in. I don't know about everybody else, but it draws me in. When I have those unread emails, I'm like, ooh, yay, I have a new email. Although some days I'm like, email, please go away at work. But overall, my personal inbox, I love when I get a new email because I know that I'm making a difference in a potential member's life. So I think this is really important to think about. Goes back to that find a club. Who is it going to be? How can we figure out what makes our club unique and carrying that through in all our promotions? And then thinking about who it is that we know as well. Because who we know is going to be a great way to get new people. Now, if you have not updated your Find a Club, this is a look at how you can update it. I encourage you to log in after this. And then our unique value proposition. It really goes beyond our club mission. What is the purpose of my club? Why do I renew my dues? Why did I join this club? There has to be something that makes us drawn to our club. We're all very busy people. Why do I show up? Whether it's every month, every week, every other week. What drives me to this club? And I think that will help you with what your club's purpose is. I encourage you, if you've never visited another club, visit a few clubs and really see, how does my club do something different? How do we communicate different? What makes my club special? Because each one of our clubs are special. As someone that's a part of multiple districts and multiple clubs, each one of my clubs gives me something unique. So I encourage you to really think about, why is my club unique? What purpose does my club have that another club may not have? And dig deep into what that purpose is. And I also, who's my target audience? Am I targeting primarily young professionals that are looking for mentors? Am I targeting science fiction? Am I targeting other specialties out there? Am I targeting, I know we have some language clubs, so really think about, who is my target audience and narrow that down, and that will help you with your unique value proposition and carry that through everything you do, your club website, your social media promotions, your guest outreach when they come, your end of the meeting when you're inviting those guests, and invite them to join you on that journey. Make sure that your club president or VP of membership is aiming to close that deal at the end of the meeting. So often I hear, oh, you're welcome to attend again. Invite them to become a part of your family. Invite them to make that commitment that day. Because when we say, oh, you're welcome to come again, okay, but we want them to be a part of us. They've come for a reason. So I encourage you to work with the rest of your club officer team to make that invite, whether it's you or someone else. It really varies based off the club, but really make sure that you're using your unique value proposition to extend that invite to be a part of the family. Okay, so then we've talked a little bit about our communication. I'm going to ask, what message do you want to communicate with your plan? I'll go ahead and I'll drop it in chat. as well. Everybody, a couple seconds here. Here. All right. We have some great ones. Meet in person could be, for someone that's looking to build those connections. I think that, something that people definitely are looking at. A place to experiment. I struggle with this one a little bit just because I do think that any club is an opportunity to experiment. Keynotes. I think if this is positioned properly, then I think that could definitely draw people in that are looking to really advance themselves. We produce champions. I think it's that draws back to how is it going to benefit somebody else that isn't familiar with Toastmasters? Definitely a winning club would draw a lot of people in, but what does it mean to be a world champion? What does it mean to take that world stage? And I think we can also position it as how it can benefit somebody else besides just being a world champion. Of course, if we're an advanced club and we are training people to take that world stage, of course, but there's a very select group of people every year that are aiming for that world stage. So I would encourage you to expand how that could apply in other areas as well. Membership, yes. Membership is great. We want to communicate membership, but how can we communicate that value of being a part of our club versus the thousands of other clubs worldwide, especially if we are online or hybrid? Even in person, I really feel that you're still competing with everyone else because should I go to this club versus this club? I know, here in District 100, there's so many different clubs, and every club is great and every club is unique. So really drawing back to that unique value proposition of why you should come to my club versus another club without, of course, criticizing other clubs along the way. We'll subtly incorporate why our club is the best. Lena.
Yeah, Julie just wanted to add to this point of why it is important for us as a club to know or identify our unique value proposition. Because while, yes, we're competing with various other clubs out there, we need to ensure that we have the right fit of members. So, as Julie said, if it is a club that is coaching for the World Championship, then that is the audience that you need to target, and that is the audience you need to have your message reach out to. So, it is very important for us to have the right kind of audience being attracted to our club. And I share this from a HR perspective with my background in HR. When you know the organization that you're joining, when you share the same values of that organization that you're joining, you tend to stay in that organization longer. And I think that is something that we can extend to communicating that unique value of our club to attract the right audience or members.
Agree. Yeah. When we attract people that identify with our unique value proposition, then we're going to be more likely to retain those members because we want to welcome them into the family, but we don't want this to be a short-term relationship. We want this to be a long-term relationship so we can continue to learn from each other. The great, great point, Lena. Okay. Leveraging our club website. Free Toast Host is a great platform and it can be customized to add our club's unique personality. Okay, here's a couple different items that I've seen along the way. For example, having, one of the clubs has a evaluation master. And so a lot of people may not know what an evaluation master is and how it might help them. The club does a great job at explaining how you can have an advanced evaluation and evaluate different aspects of your meeting to have more fun, to have a higher quality meeting. I thought this club also did a great job at demonstrating the personality of the club. They really come together and they celebrate their accomplishments. And if I were to see this, I would think these are a fun group of people. I want to go hang out with them. They're going to celebrate my accomplishments, they're going to help me along the way. So, of course, it all depends on the dynamic of your club and what you're going for. There's no right or wrong as long as we get in there and we do a little bit of customization. I really cannot emphasize enough that you add your unique value proposition without saying, this is my club's unique value proposition. Please come join me. We subtly incorporate it into everything we do. Who do we know? That's one of the things that I always ask. Who do I know? I know a lot of people, but who do we want to spend more time with? And who we want to spend more time with are great candidates to be members of our club. Of course, we can invite everybody we know under the sun and we can spam them every single time with a meeting invite. But really think about who is it that I want to spend more time with? And one of the ways that we can also think about who I want to spend more time with is what members are working on advanced projects. I love panel presentations. And I always encourage my club to have a couple people that are part of my club, and a couple people that are not part of my club. Why? Because those people that are not part of my club, they may join my club because we're an awesome club. I've had people join my club after being on a panel presentation, but it also helps them reach out to their network. Because when you're a guest speaker at a club, you're going to be more likely to share it and say, hey, come join me. I'm on this panel presentation, or I'm giving a keynote on X topic, or I'm delivering a workshop on X topic. Come hang out with me. Well, guess what? If you have a great meeting, those people might join your club. Of course, there's no guarantees that they will join your club. They might say, I am tapped out. I have too many clubs already. But they might join your club. Or they might recommend your club to someone that they know as well. There's always that opportunity. So I encourage you to think about who do I want to spend more time with and encourage your members to invite people that they want to spend more time with. Their coworkers, family members that they like. I know sometimes I say, I like Toastmasters better than I like some people in my family. But you think about who it is that we would like to spend more time with, and then when our members are working on those advanced projects, it's an opportunity to promote our members in everything that they're doing. And I find that when we put a concerted effort as a group behind the open house, the advanced projects, we tend to have better luck. Because I know I am guilty of this and saying, oh yeah, I should invite some people. Oh yeah, I should invite some people. And then life happens. But there's something about that open house, those special projects that our members are working on, that we all sit down and we actually invite people. I don't know what it is. There's some psychological factor of, you know what? This is a special meeting. And I feel everybody comes together and rallies behind that meeting. Of course, we should rally behind every meeting, but life happens. There's just something about those special meetings. So I encourage you as a club officer team to figure out ways that you can have special meetings. There are a lot of tools to promote your club, whether it's a newsletter, social media, and also that all important member recognition. In our newsletter, MailChimp is free for up to 1,000 cents. I've also seen some clubs start developing Canva newsletters and posting that to their social media and sending it to members and former members and guests. I like MailChimp though. It's very visual and it's also something that you can pass from term to term without having to rely on getting the email list and then it comes from a different person. And we've trained people to look for, a certain person's name, but when it comes from MailChimp, it just always comes from the same person all the time. Oh, I like MailChimp. I personally think it's very visual, but it's all up to your club and how you find the best use of promotion. So I always say I like to write every meeting as a sizzle, every meeting as a promotion. Easier said than done, but if we add that excitement to our content, then we can draw more people in. Recaps. If we're taking family photos, go ahead, highlight, our best speaker, our best table topics, our best evaluator, any other special roles that you have, or just simple, member family photos. And if you're in person, everybody can get together and, take a photo as well. It doesn't have to just be our Zoom box of people. It can, this can work for the in-person as well. Key reminders for our members. Dues are due, everyone. Pay your dues by September 30th. And also, I have been guilty of this is I've thought like, oh yeah, I 100% paid that club. And my sergeant at arms is like, Julie, are you 100% sure you paid? Because I don't see your payment. I was like, oh shoot, I must have paid my other club, but not this club. So, there's key reminders, for your members. And as much as we think that everybody knows that dues are due by September 30th, our new members might be their first time paying their dues renewal. They can't remember when they joined. I can't remember when I joined clubs. I know my dues are due every 6 months, but our new members may not know that because so many things are auto pay nowadays. They might think, I don't know, it's going to auto pay it. So do work with your members to have those key reminders. If you have any special events, then of course highlight them. Recognition. Recognition for our members is so key to retention. We can't pay people in Toastmasters, but we can pay them in recognition. People crave recognition, and especially when a member completes a level, when a new member delivers their icebreaker. Let's highlight that. Think about the first time you delivered your icebreaker. I don't know about you, but it was a little terrifying. There's just something about getting up in front of the club and talking about yourself. Even though it's 4 to 6 minutes, sometimes it's the most terrifying 4 to 6 minutes of their life. Let's highlight that they have taken the first step in their journey. When our new member wins a table topics, let's highlight member success, whatever that success may be, is a great way to highlight in the newsletter. Social media. We want to demonstrate that we are a professional organization. Toastmasters has a brand manual. I encourage you, give it a read. There's a lot in it, but once you give it a read, I think you really will say, oh, this is easier than I thought. And I know at first when I took on the PRM role, I thought, I don't know how I'm going to create unique content and follow the TI guidelines. But then I discovered the magic of Canva. And Canva is one of those things that, as any new tool that you take on, the more you use it, the easier it becomes. I do encourage you to develop content that is sized for each platform, though. So if you're developing something for Facebook, make sure that it's sized for Facebook because we don't want people's head cut off. We don't want half of their body. We want to make sure that all the key information is visible because people aren't necessarily going to click on your photo. It's that thumb scrolling. People are sitting on their couch at night, or I at least am, checking out all the cool things that I see online. I come across things, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But they're not necessarily going to click on the photo. So you want to make sure that the photo is sized appropriately for Facebook so you have all those key details that they need. Also, put it in the caption as well. Of course, I will put the caveat is if you're posting Zoom links, I encourage you to use Zoom registration. So those pesky Zoom bombers, which need Toastmasters, because they just come and they yell at us. They need to learn how to use their voice appropriately and be appropriate people in meetings. But until they learn that, they're pesky little people that come cause disruptions. If you're using the Zoom registration, I find that we get less Zoom bombers. It happens, but less likely. And Toastmasters has a great club marketing resources that can help you along the journey and figure out some of those key messages related to Toastmasters, and then you can customize it for your club as well. But Canva is a great tool. I, as public relations manager for the first, few months, just used the free Canva. It was great, but then I decided I wanted to be able to quickly resize and, do some advanced features with it. But for a club, the free Canva is a great way to get started. And there's every time I get stuck in Canva, I just Google whatever it is that I may be stuck on, and there's either a YouTube video or a resource from Canva that will help me out. So I really encourage you. Canva's a great tool. It helps you quickly color your content. It saves your colors for you as well, so you're not having to look them up every single time. So it is a great tool. Get in there, play with it, develop the content, and then you know, post it and let those new members, come your way. This is a quick look at iconic brands. When we look at this, we know what we're going to get, and we want to demonstrate the same in Toastmasters. So these are a quick look at the logos and where you can download them. Proper logo usage and proper logo usage. The short and sweet to logo usage. Don't modify the logo in any way. Don't remove the background. Don't remove anything from the logo. Give it a little bit of breathing space and you'll be on your way. Don't recolor it. So this is a cheat sheet to the colors from Toastmasters International. So you can go ahead and input these into your Canva. The free Canva is limited on the number that you can input. I usually do the true maroon, the loyal blue, and I trade off between the gray and the yellow because yellow is an accent, but it also looks great on our designs. And then the black and white are very easy because you just scroll, one way or the other, and you can choose the pure black and the pure white. Do make sure that it doesn't have a little bit of a tint or anything to it. Ideally, we really want to follow the TI guidelines as much as possible so we can demonstrate that we are a professional organization. We want to demonstrate the professionalism. We don't want to look like we're some, random, people off the streets because we are professionals and we want to help people grow. So by having that cohesive look, it will demonstrate the Toastmasters brand. As you can see, two different clubs that each have their own unique identity. Achievers, they chose to go with, a stock TI photo, and that's perfectly okay. San Clemente decided to use a photo of the club. If you can use a photo of your club, I do think that's always better because people can identify. They see warm, friendly faces, and then when people come to the meeting, they're like, oh, hey, I saw you. It just creates that sense of familiarization and they can identify with you before they even come. But it is up to your club. It is 100% up to your club culture. Because I have been in clubs and people say, I don't want my photo taken. Okay, that is 100% okay as well. So it's just really about how your club feels about the promotion. And it's not just the role of the BPPR. It takes everybody in the club to be behind the efforts, sharing, liking, commenting, posting on their social media. It's not just the role of the VPPR. It's everybody involved. There are a lot of different platforms. Oh my goodness. I could spend all day posting on platforms. I spend way too much time on social media as is, but it's really deciding which platforms work best for your club. Facebook, Microsoft Teams, the Google Business Profile, the LinkedIn, the Meetup, the Instagram, the Eventbrite. The list goes on and on. And it depends. If we're a corporate club, we're not necessarily going to post on Facebook and Meetup and Instagram. We're going to use Microsoft Teams to communicate internally to our fellow team or fellow employees that work at the same company as us. Maybe we'll do a little bit of our LinkedIn post. Maybe the company can highlight some of the success of our members, work that into their social strategy. But us as a club, we're not necessarily going to be posting on LinkedIn. And it depends on what your goals are and who you're targeting. I would say start with, Facebook and Instagram. Those are two very easy platforms to get started with, and you can repurpose the content between those two pretty quick. I find a lot of times I'm able to copy what I have from Facebook, resize it quickly for Instagram by just copying and pasting and redoing my photos a little bit, and I'm able to move between those pretty quick. LinkedIn is also a really great platform as well if you're trying to attract a lot of corporate professionals. Having a presence on LinkedIn, I do find it's a lot, I don't get as much engagement on LinkedIn overall, but I always say corporate professionals, I'm spending a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. So you will find those people there as well. I know LinkedIn is becoming much more of a social environment. It has really transformed itself, not just a job posting platform, but really something that people do come together. And you can encourage, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile for your club, you can always encourage your members to post their certificates, to post key wins on LinkedIn, and to highlight your club's website, and then people can find your club that way. So that's another way that you can do it as well without having to maintain the LinkedIn. The meetup is great. I know District 100 is launching a new meetup that will help centralize it. So do be on the lookout for more details on that. It is another great platform. All these are a always on, as I like to say. Yes, of course we sleep. We're not always staring at our phone, but it's not a post it and forget about it. To post it and engage, encouraging our members to RSVP, to share, to like, to comment. It's not just the role of VPPR. As VPPR, you develop the content, you post the content, but it really takes everybody working together to bring that success and help it grow beyond just your club's profile. So when you post it, a lot of my clubs, we have WhatsApp groups nowadays because it's a great way to centralize communication. If you have however your club communicates, say, hey everyone, our new content's live, check it out, post the links, encourage people like, comment, share, because that's how we grow and that's how they reach their network as well. Because it's about expanding beyond our club. Our club is a base, but we want to go beyond just our club and we want to bring in those potential guests. Google Business Profile. I like these because I am the most lost individual. My husband says I cannot find my way out of a paper bag, but when I see what building I'm supposed to be looking for, Like, oh, okay, I know that the building should look like this, especially if you're in a corporate office park, but you're an open club. I know, oh, okay, you know what? This is how it looks on Google Maps. This is where I'm supposed to go. So this is another way. And it also, when people are looking for Toastmasters, brings you up in the search rankings as well. So another way that if you are able to create the Google Business profile. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at which platforms that we want to endeavor to communicate our message. And as I mentioned, you don't have to do them all by any means. Oh, I will go ahead and I will drop the link again, or the new link. So give everybody an opportunity to. And you can, I believe, only select one. So which new channel or which is a primary channel you want to use. Okay, go ahead and I will share our results here. All right. Facebook. Yes, Facebook is always very popular. I spend way too much time on Facebook, but I love it. Instagram and LinkedIn. Yeah, I think those are all great platforms. I would encourage you as we roll out the District 100 meetup to endeavor with it. I know it will take some time to grow as, any audience does, but it is something that, get in on it early and then you get the share of people that are looking to learn more about Toastmasters. I know the audience will take a little bit of time to grow, but by getting in early, then you get all the great people as well. So I do encourage everybody to, really think about what tools you want to use. You may not be able to use them all, but you can at least think about those primary strategies. Some examples of recognition, for members. One of the things that I love that Aliso Viejo and Orange County Toastmasters do is they post reels, and you can post it across Instagram and Facebook. You can repurpose it among the two platforms. The Aliso Viejo Toastmasters, they're just constantly posting. Oh my gosh. They post a lot from their meetings. They record their meetings. They post segments of their meetings. They spend a lot of time on their social media. I know. South Orange County, what I like is they do guest testimonials. Think about that. A really strong guest comes, they're really dynamic. Let's ask them, what did you think of our meeting? Would you like to participate in being featured? They've had a lot of success by gaining new members by engaging their guests that way. They say that's one of the primary reasons that people are joining is they're engaging them in the process. And then, when you have that special celebration, just make it fun. There's different ways that you can just amp up the fun in your meetings. I love this because our friend Oliver here created Harvard Law School, graduated from Harvard. I'm thinking, oh, he's a smarty pants. I think I want to spend some more time with him. This is going to be an outstanding club. And then I love that they recognized their officer team, because how many times do people feel voluntold to be a club officer? People say, oh, okay, I'll be a club officer. What if we make being a club officer something special, something to aspire to? That it's not just, okay, great, I'll do it for you this time. Okay. If we recognize our club officers, hey, congratulations to our incoming club officer team. The only suggestion I would have is to tag them Because once again, that little notification that pops up, that little red dot that pops up that shows that I have a notification, I want to check it out. But I think they did a great job with really highlighting and making it something that is great. That it's not just, okay, these people are doing it. Because when we recognize our members, then our next time we do club officer elections, hopefully people are going to say, you know what, this isn't just a check the box. This is really something special. It's an experience, it's an opportunity. So it's all about how we position it. Hopefully, we're not all voluntold. Okay, so I ask you, how often will you communicate with your audience? It really depends how often our club meets. Because we don't have the time to post every day. As much as I would love to post every day, it's not realistic. And it's probably going to overwhelm our audience as well. We can post a pre-meeting, a post-meeting, a reminder. Everything should tie back to our unique value proposition, and every communication should have when the next meeting is, because even though we're doing a recap, hey, looking forward to seeing you at the next meeting. You missed out on the great fun. Come join us at the next meeting. So really think about how often you're going to communicate and build that into your plan and set a deadline for yourself of I'm going to have my material ready a week out from the meeting. But then work with your vice president of education and share that I need the speaker list, let's say 10 days out before the meeting, whatever it may be, because it's not just fully dependent on the VP of Public Relations. It really takes you working hand in hand with the Vice President of Education if you're going to promote who your speakers are. If it's more of a static post, that, of course, then you don't need to know who the speakers are, but it's always great if you know the theme. What theme has the Toastmaster chosen? It just helps build that unique aspect of our club. How will you evaluate your efforts? I always evaluate, of course, I want new members, but I can't control if someone joins my club. I can't control if they come as a guest, but am I increasing the number of guests? Am I increasing our number of followers? Am I increasing our engagement online? Are our members sharing our content more? These are all ways that we can evaluate success. And that's not just how many new members we got, because it takes everybody. It takes a lot of people to close that deal sometimes. And so it's all about, are we bringing in the right people? Do we think that these are the right fit for our club? Yes, we want new members, but as Lena mentioned, we want new members that are looking at what our unique value proposition and making sure that we're the right club for them. Because we don't want members to be short-term stays. We want a long-term relationship with them. Okay. Questions. Does anybody have questions? I know it's a lot to take in. Who's excited to build their communication plan tonight? No one? Who's terrified? Oh, Raven, good. All right. Who's terrified of their communication plan now?
I think I've already got, since I'm taking care of the district communication, I've already got the plan in place. And while it might look terrifying that we have to have that constant engagement with our current members and potential members, I think having a plan in place definitely eases a little bit of that
Hmm.
feeling of being overwhelmed. So communication plan definitely helps.
Yeah. Yeah. I love a good plan. Even at work, I love a good plan. Work can be chaos some days, but a good plan just really, and it helps me stay accountable to my club as well. Because it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't know, we'll work on that content. Oh, we'll work on that content.
Yeah.
But then we never finish it because there's always some other shiny object. But if we know that we've said, we're going to post 7 days in advance, we're going to work on that content.
Yeah. And just to add, Julie, since we're talking about the communication plan, something that I did when I was a VPPR of my club, I did have a very basic plan in place for
Mhm.
every week. And I relied a lot on some of the recurring posts. So, to give an example, I had a word of the day every week. And it was quite easy to create that content because I just had a template in place. I just had to change the word for each week. It didn't take too much time having those templates in place. So I strongly recommend thinking of options where you have these recurring posts. It could be just your meeting theme, as Julie said. Have a template in place for that. And every week you can have one of those going out on your social media platforms.
Mhm. Yeah, the more you can prepare in advance, the easier. 100% easier said than done because, especially if you're taking on the role for the first time, you may be starting from ground zero. You may think, I'm going to give our social media a complete overhaul because I want to put a new personality, I want to put that unique value proposition, and that's okay. Sometimes we need to crawl before we walk, before we run. It's about taking those baby steps, and when we take those steps, we're going to continue to get more guests and we're going to be more successful as a club, and people are going to have that excitement for the club as well.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? If you're not able to unmute your line, you can even type it out in the chat. Yes, Raymond?
Hi, am I audible?
Yep.
Thanks. I actually, first of all, thanks, Julie. That was a great presentation. That was a great talk. About the unique value proposition, since of course that's a term that's mostly used in business, so it kind of helped me think of it more in that sense. Um, the thing that, for example, what I struggled in my terms, since I'm already an immediate past president, was the retention part, since um it always goes to a point where we would have like the one of the best meetings, and then when it comes to the sale, that's when I think breaking it, how to saying disclosing it to them in the most effective way is the one that we would have a challenge with. And although I now do have a some things in mind that I can propose to our current president about how we can move forward with the club. My question was all of that. Were you able to get to the point where, of course, by the start of a guest or even a new Toastmaster, it's always like first it's what's in it for me, and in that case, I've noticed that Toastmasters in those stages are like very low priority. Whenever sometimes when they feel lazy or doesn't feel like attending, or if one of their buddies just call up and hey, let's go out, then they won't be able to attend. Eventually, I've been through that. Although I went to the point where when it clicked, then I do see the value that's in it, and then I do make up some time for it. Um, have you had any type of way of for example, in you mentioned targeting the right people,
Mhm.
where you would gauge what they would really like so we can get them to for it to click to them, for the process of Toastmasters to click for them more efficiently. I don't
Yeah,
know if I used the right word, sorry.
yeah, you can always ask them, what are you hoping to gain, from Toastmasters, and then helping work with them on their personal goals, making sure that your new members have a mentor because there's nothing worse than when a new member takes on the Toastmaster role and people are like, oh, you're doing it completely out of order. Even as a seasoned Toastmaster, I've done things out of order. I forget to call on a roll because I skip ahead. We've all been there, but I think having that mentor helps them along in the process. It helps them embark on their pathways journey. And then, working with them on what are those personal goals. And then if they say, my goal is to be a keynote speaker or my goal is to be more confident, whatever it is, working with them and reminding them on a regular basis how they can grow. And I think oh, my buddy called me and I want to go do something different. I struggle with that because I plan, it might just be because, I'm a seasoned Toastmaster, so I do plan a lot around, when I have club meetings. But, asking people to hold themselves accountable for their own learning and then, look at your calendar in advance. Do you know that you have something planned, that day? At the end of the meeting, the Vice President of Education can quickly go over the roles for the next meeting and you can ask people, hey, is everybody still good with this? Ideally, people are not canceling the day of, but there always will be those people that wake up and they decide they're on vacation that day. I don't understand how you can just magically be flying out of the country that day and you had no idea the night before or 2 days before. Maybe I'm just a little more planned. I'm not sure, but you'll always have those members. So it's, asking people to be accountable for yourself and then reminding people to be accountable to the club as well. We're counting on people to fulfill these roles. And, I always say, everybody taking on a role really helps make the meeting a success. And so it's not just, hey, who will be the grammarian? Hey, who can help make the meeting a success? Who can help us advance our learning? And when we position it like that, I find that people are more likely going to take on a role. There will be times that, yes, I miss a club meeting, but I'm looking at my calendar in advance and I'm letting my vice president of education know.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie.
Okay, so I see that we are 7 minutes over the hour, so I want to take this opportunity to thank our trainer today, Julie, for setting the foundation for our training program. We have other sessions that are planned through this week and the following weeks. I've just posted the overall plan in the chat.